It might sound cheesy, but believing in yourself is key, and I'm going to explain exactly what I mean. I'm also going to tell you guys how it's all in your hands to get exactly what you want. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to 2026 content and the year 2026, first video officially of this year. And I have so many amazing, exciting ideas. So thank you for being a part of this community. Even if you're just a new viewer, maybe this is your first video watching me, I very much appreciate it. I hope you stick around and subscribe to my channel because I've got tons of videos related to this topic and so many others about manifestation. So today is all about you focusing on your mindset, the way you view yourself, view your life, and your ability to manifest what you want. So as the title suggests, this can be applied, of course, to your specific person, to dating, a relationship, any goal, any area of your life that you're manifesting, because it's all about you. It's not about the end result. It's about how you think about it, which in turn brings about better results anyway. So it's a win-win situation. That's what we're going to talk about today. And just before I jump right into the content, which comes in multiple sections, and I'm going to end with a little secret tip as well and a good kind of mindset to have going forward. But on screen, I will pop all the extra things you can get. I'm a coach, so you can work with me directly. You can become a member, which is a really, really easy, affordable way to get extra bonus materials, content every month, even get your personal manifestation questions answered, included in that price. So it's really good value. But if you do want to get coaching with me, I actually have 50% offers on certain packages. So do take a look at my website linked below. And now let's start the video. If you are still in a mindset right now where you're constantly checking time, you're constantly thinking about the time frame and timeline so far and trajectory of your manifestation, visible movement, what has or has not happened up till now, and thinking, when is my manifestation going to happen? That's the exact reason why it hasn't happened yet and why it's taking long. I'm not saying if you started yesterday morning, that's the reason why, but in general, if you feel like things have been slow or it hasn't happened quickly or you're not seeing the progress, movements and positive developments that you want, chances are, if you've been in that mindset, that is the exact reason why it's being slower. And Neville himself taught us that when we assume it's done, it is literally done in consciousness. Consciousness is the root of everything. Everything we perceive and assume and believe, connect with, just see within our 3D reality and take on as an assumption. That's what will very likely, or at least for a certain period of time, continue as our literal reality, our literal experience. Whether or not other people believe it and experience the same thing is irrelevant, and usually it's not the case. But Neville said, when you assume it's done, it is done in consciousness. That is extremely powerful, and it does shape everything in your reality. So if you get in the mindset of assuming it's done and believing and knowing your manifestation is yours, it will come to you in your 3D reality, then that is already the 50% of the way there, the massive step that you need to take. And remembering that your 3D reality, that physical world, the physical experience outside of your own mind, is playing a catch up, right? It's having to experience a bit of a time lag and a delay before it can fully catch up to what your assumptions and your positive mindset and the shifts you've been putting in internally can be reflected. Before it can catch up and actually start reflecting that new programming, it needs to play out a little bit. But you have to remember, don't judge and take it as objective reality and fact that, what you're seeing right now is just how things are, and that's the outcome. Time itself is also an illusion. It's just a form of measurement, really, in society. It's a good way to think about it, so you don't, hold time and the literal calendar dates on a pedestal where you assume this is how you have to value and perceive and validate your manifestation experience just by looking at that. Oh, it's January 2nd. Oh, it's January 5th. Oh, it's January 10th and it hasn't come in yet. Holding that as the quantifier of, I don't even know if quantify is a word, but you guys know what I mean. To quantify the success rate of your manifestation, it's just an illusion. It's not real. It's kind of a man-made societal measuring tool, and that's not the way you judge whether a manifestation is real, because by the way, it's already in existence. If you can imagine it, it is real, it can be yours, but you're not waiting on it. You're not waiting for, January 3rd to be the day that you manifest everything you want. You're waiting to build up the belief that it's already yours. You're waiting and developing and working day by day, building the blocks step by step, block by block, into believing that you already have your manifestation. That's what you're actually creating. So the biggest tip and trick to get out of that and get out of that mindset and of holding that on a pedestal, focusing on it, being kind of obsessed with it, or having this kind of pull towards, checking the time, judging your circumstances, constantly worrying, and maybe even having intrusive thoughts about that, opposing thoughts, which is completely normal. The best way to work on that is with your self-concept. And in terms of self-concept, you want to build up your assumptions and beliefs of how manifestation works for you, why it has to become your end result if you stay, if you stay on track and you are consistent. You want to build up your assumptions and focusing on being confident, understanding manifestation, trusting in it, and persevering. So, just feeling really confident, secure, calm, knowing, just really confident overall in the manifesting process and what you're doing for yourself, not just this kind of esoteric conceptual idea of manifesting, but literally why you're doing what you're doing, how it works, what creates the end result and outcome that you want, the science behind it, which I talk about a lot in my videos up until now. I've spoken a lot about all the different facts to do with that, and understanding it and knowing this is why I'm applying repetition. This is why I need to be consistent, trusting in that process, knowing how maybe in other areas it's worked for you in the past with manifesting, and then persevering, meaning being consistent, saturating your mind, just persisting essentially in manifestation. You have to persist. If you're not seeing what you want, that is the outcome. It's not doing 5 different new methods. It's just persisting in what you've been doing, focusing on the positive end result, and persevering with your manifestation. That's the element and outcomes, emotional states, adjectives that you really want to focus on with your self-concept. If you've been stuck in the opposite, if you've been stuck in doubt, negative thinking, those are the elements that if you focus on that in your self-concept, inner conversations, affirmations, mental diet, whatever it is, that's really going to help you get out of that state. So if you've been having thoughts like, it's been weeks and there's still nothing, I even see comments like this sometimes, or my clients will tell me things like that. That is you keeping your manifestation away without even realizing it. You're affirming that there is a delay. You're literally telling your subconscious and conscious mind and affirming the negative that, oh, here's a fact. There's been nothing for weeks. There's been nothing for weeks. That is literally what you're doing and telling your mind. So when it comes to a specific person, or you can change this up for any other manifestation topic, obviously, but this is a pretty common one that people might want examples for. If you say, when is SP going to reach out? When are SP and I going to get back together? When will I meet SP? Whatever it may be. Instead of saying that, flip it back around, say, we're already together. We're already in a relationship. Just flip the thought. Try and consciously get into a habit of literally, consciously telling yourself that thought, choosing to think that, rather than just having to use it as a mental diet. But in this example, obviously a really great way to remove the element of time and the panic or worry or doubt regarding the time frame is to say, no, we are now in a relationship. We are now together. We are happy together. Everything is working out perfectly, just something positive about the present moment, how you do have what you want. And remember that your responsibility and your job in manifesting to your tasks when it comes to achieving these goals is not to manage the time. You're not here to manage time. You're not a manager. You're not, a business owner managing a group of people. You are only managing your inner state, your mental state, your inner state, essentially. You are just managing and focusing on what's going on internally for you, not the time frame, not the timeline. That's not our responsibility. And when you stop worrying about things like circumstances, the time actually speeds up. You're actually cutting things down and, jumping over any of those temporary hurdles and blocks that may have shown themselves by not even giving, attention to it. Because essentially, the more you put attention to how long it's taking and how you don't yet have your manifestation, the more you're affirming to yourself that that is your present reality, that you don't have what you want. And you're literally looping this version of yourself who doesn't have the outcome that they want. You're literally telling yourself the version of me that I'm embodying, the version of me that is in my current reality is the version that doesn't have the goals that they want. So what is literally going to happen is you're going to see that time, well, you're not going to physically see it, but what's going to happen is that time collapses into that new reality because you've been focusing and persisting on the version that you want and persisting in this assumption that it's already done, it's already yours, the manifestation is physically on its way to you, everything will come together, it will be yours because you've focused, you've persisted, and you've been focusing on You're not waiting around for signs or evidence. You're just persisting and focusing on the assumption. What you're waiting for is your subconscious to automatically become positive, bring up visuals, bring up positive thoughts from the new version, dreams. That's the only thing that you should ever possibly be waiting on. You don't need signs or evidence. So stop putting that focus consciously on what you don't have. When you catch yourself doing that, that's fine, but make sure you're catching it and trying to flip it back around. You're focusing on what you do have, repeating what you do have, which is the new story, the outcome that you want. So essentially, when you have a negative doubting thought, anything that's tied to an old story, old negative assumptions that are filtering and purging out, immediately try to replace that with the positive new assumption, whether it's your actual affirmation or just anything that relates to and ties in together beautifully into the new story that you want. You are not waiting for the results to come in or show themselves. You are already there. That's the mindset you want to have. You're not waiting around. You're not hoping and waiting that one morning soon you'll wake up and see the movement, the results, the communication, the text messages. You're not waiting around for that. And you're certainly not hoping or having that be the, ultimate outcome or the thing that shapes the quality of your life. Overall, just focusing in your mind internally on already being there. It's not about the external signs, the 3D circumstances shifting in front of you, because they will come together, but you're not sitting and waiting and worrying about it happening. You're waiting to see that your own mind is conforming because you've been persisting. You're already there. You're thinking as if you already have your outcome. So ultimately, stop trying to figure out how and when it happens. Try to come from this more confident perspective, confident mindset, where your self-concept is secure, you're feeling hopeful, motivated, positive, you're persevering. Because if you have experienced this type of doubt and impatience, then it's a sign that you need to affirm and reaffirm your new reality, because chances are there've been a few moments where you've been thinking the opposite and this is what has come up. So remember that repetition is literally how you communicate to your subconscious mind. Whatever you feed into it consistently is what it accepts and creates without fail. So that is today's video. I hope you guys found that motivating and beneficial, maybe helping you get out of a bit of a rut that you may be in this current moment. I think it's a great start to the new year, figuring out how to improve your mindset. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.